Hello everyone. In this lesson, we will learn how to find the properties of an ellipse given its equation. So here, we will try to solve these problems. So ang gagawin natin ay hahanapin natin ang mga coordinates ng center, foci, vertices at covertices ng ellipse with the given equation in each item. We will also sketch the graph of this ellipse indicating these points. Okay, so let's have problem number 1. We have here x minus 7 quantity square over 64 plus y plus 2 quantity square over 25 equal to 1. Now, ang first step na gagawin natin is to make sure that the equation is written in standard form, right? So, in this case, as you can see, the equation is already in standard form. So, we can now identify its orientation. At paano ba ma-identify yung orientation? So, ang titignan lang natin ay yung denominator ng ating equation. If the denominator ng x is greater than the denominator ng y, it is horizontal. If ang denominator naman ng y ay mas malaki kaysa sa denominator ng x, it is vertical. But in this case, since the denominator of x, which is 64, is greater than the denominator of y, which is 25, we can say now that the orientation is horizontal. Okay, so we have this one. Next, for the center, that is just HK, right? So HK is just, our H is 7. Our K is negative 2 from our standard equation. So we have 7, negative 2 here in our center. And 7, negative 2 is located here. Okay? So this is our center. Okay? Next is for the vertices. Take note the vertices are A units away from the center. So we need to solve for A. But from our standard equation, A squared is just equal to 64, right? Thus, A is equal to 8. Therefore, the vertices are 8 units away from the center. In this case, since the ellipse here is horizontal, so the vertices are 8 units to the left and to the right of the center. So, ang nag-change dito, since to the left and to the right siya, so yung mga x coordinates lang. So, we will add or subtract A sa x-coordinate ng center. At sino ba yung x-coordinate ng center? That is just your h. So we have the formula h plus minus a k. Okay? So from that, our vertex 1 will be, so kunin natin yung minus muna. So h minus a k. So that is 7 minus 8, negative 2, and that is negative 1, negative 2. So we have now our vertex 1, negative 1, negative 2, which is located here. Okay, so that is V1. For V2 naman, the second vertex, that is H plus AK, right? So we have 7 plus 8, negative 2. So we have 15, negative 2. And 15, negative 2 is located here. There. So that is V2. Okay? So we are done with the vertices. Next is for the covertices. Take note the covertices are B units away from the center. And since we have B squared, which is equal to 25, so we have B equal to 5, right? Now, since our ellipse is horizontal, the covertices now is 5 units above or below the center. And since it is above or below the center, we will just add or subtract 5 sa y-coordinate ng center. So our formula will be h k plus minus b. Okay, so from that, our first covertex denoted by W1 will be hk minus b. Okay, so from that we have 7 negative 2 minus 5, which is 7 negative 7. Okay, next for W2 naman, we have hk plus b, and that is 7 negative 2 plus 5. We have 7 and 3. Okay, so W1 is 7 negative 7, so that is here. Okay, so that is W1. W2 is 7, 3, so that is located here. So that is W2. Okay, for the last one, we have the foci. The foci are C units away from the center, so we need to solve for C. From our formula, C is just equal to the square root of A square minus B squared, right? So from that, we have A square is 64, B square is 25, so C is just equal to square root of 39. Okay? So C is the square root of 39. Now from that, since it is horizontal, the foci is square root of 39 units to the left and to the right of the center. So si x yung nag-change. So we will add or subtract sa x coordinate ng center. So we have h plus minus c k. Okay, so for our first focus, we have h minus ck, and that is 7 minus square root of 39, negative 2. 7 minus square root of 39 is approximately equal to 0.76. Okay, so we have that. And we have negative 2. Okay, for the second focus naman, we have h plus ck. So that is 7 plus the square root of 39. K is negative 2. So we have 7 plus the square root of 39 is approximately equal to 13.24, negative 2. So we have our second focus. So F1, focus 1 is 0.76 negative 2. So it is somewhere here. Okay, this one. So this is our focus 1. Okay. And focus 2 is 13.24 negative 2. So it is somewhere here, right? So that is focus 2. So from that, we can now sketch the ellipse. So our ellipse will be this one. Okay? So just connect the vertices and the co-vertices. Okay? So more likely, our ellipse will look like this one. Okay, so that's it for number 1. Ngayon, for problem number 2 naman, we are given with 4x squared plus 13y squared equal to 52. So this equation is not yet in standard form. So we need to transform this one in standard form. So what we are going to do is here, diba sa standard form, dapat ang right-hand side ng equation is equal to 1. So we need to make the right-hand side of the equation here equal to 1. So what we are going to do is to divide both sides of the equation by 52. And by that, we can make the right-hand side equal to 1. So we have, copy ko muna, 4x squared plus 13y squared equal to 52. So we will divide both sides by 52. So divide by 52 there. So we have x squared over 13 na lang plus y squared over 4 equal to 1. And this one is already in standard form. And since the denominator of x is greater than the denominator of y, the orientation will be horizontal. So we have here a horizontal ellipse. Okay? Next, for the center, our HK here is just 0, 0. Okay? Next, for the vertices, it is a units away from the center, and our a squared here is 13. So we have a squared equal to 13. So a is equal to square root of 13. Since it is horizontal, so we have this formula, okay? H plus minus a k. By the way, our center is 0, 0, so it is located here. This is our center at the origin, okay? So our first vertex will be h minus a k, right? So that will be 0 minus square root of 13, 0. And that is negative square root of 13, 0. And square root of 13 is just approximately equal to negative. So we have negative 3.61. Okay, 0. So our first vertex V1 will be negative 3.61, 0. So it is somewhere here. Okay, so this is V1. Okay, for our second vertex naman, V sub 2. V sub 2 is just H plus AK. So we have 0 plus square root of 13, 0. And that is square root of 13, 0. So square root of 13 is just 3.61, 0. So it is somewhere here. Okay, so this is our second vertex. Okay, now for the co-vertices naman, so we need the value of b here. So here, b squared is just equal to 4 from our standard equation. So b is equal to 2, right? So since it is horizontal, so it is located 2 units above or below the center. So our formula will be hk plus minus b, right? So from that, our first covertex will be hk minus b. So we have 0, 0 minus 2, and that is 0, negative 2, right? So 0, negative 2 is here. This is our first covertex. Second covertex, W2, is just HK plus B, right? So we have 0, 0 plus 2, and that is 0, 2. Okay? So 0, 2 is here. This is our W2. Okay? For the last one, for the foci, that is c units away from the center. So we will have the formula c equal to the square root of a square minus b square, right? A square is 13 minus b square is 4. So we have square root of 9, which is 3. So your foci are 3 units to the left and to the right of the center. So our formula will be h plus minus c and k. Okay, so for the first focus, we have h minus ck. So that will be 0 minus 3, 0. So we have negative 3, 0, right? For our second focus naman, we have h plus ck, right? So that is 0 plus 3, 0. So we have 3, 0. So F1 will be here. This is your F1. And F2 will be here. So this is F2. So we can now sketch the graph of this ellipse. So we have this ellipse there. Okay? So we are done with problem number 2. Okay? Now, for the last problem, we are given with 16x squared plus 7y squared plus 96x plus 14y plus 39 equal to 0. Okay? Obviously, as you can see, the equation is not yet in standard form. So, kailangan nating i-transform ito. So, first step that we will do is to group all x's and all y's. and isolate the constant term to the right-hand side of the equation. So here, we will group all x's. So we have 16x squared and 96x. So that is our first group. So we have here 16x squared plus 96x, right? Next, for the second group, we have 7y squared and 14y. So we have 7y squared plus 14y equal to, we will isolate the constant term which is 39 to the right hand side of the equation. So we have negative 39 here. Okay? Next, we will now complete the square. But before that, you need to make sure na ang leading coefficients natin dito ay equal to 1. But here, you can see that the leading coefficients ay 16 at 7. So which is not 1, right? So 16 at 7 siya. So what we're going to do is to factor out these coefficients. Okay, so factor out natin sila. So we will now have 16 times x squared plus 96 divided by 16 is 6x, right? Plus si 7 factor out. So you have y squared plus 14 divided by 7, that is 2. Then you have y equal to negative 39. Okay, so from that, we can now proceed to completing the square. In completing the square, we will have 16 times x squared plus 6x plus, we will add something here to obtain a perfect square trinomial, plus 7 times y squared plus 2y plus, we will also add something here, equal to, kasi dalawa yung in-add natin, we will also add two values here. Okay, so yan. Now, in completing the square, we will just take the coefficient of the middle term. So here we have 6, right? So kunin natin ang 6, then divide it by 2, you have 3. Then you square the result. So 3 squared, that is 9. So we will add 9 here. Okay? So since you added 9 sa left side, you will also add 9 sa right side. But take note, we have a multiplier here, which is 16. So you are not just adding 9, but you are adding 16 times 9. So you have 16 times 9 here. Okay? Plus, sa second naman, you have to take 2, right? So 2 divided by 2, that is 1. Then squaring 1, you have 1. So you will add 1 here. So you will add 7 times 1 sa right side. Kasi meron tayong multiplier na 7 dito. Okay? So from that, we can now write the equation in factored form, right? So that will be 16 times factored form ng x squared plus 6x plus 9 is x plus 3 quantity square, right? Plus 7 times factored form ng y squared plus 2y plus 1 is y plus 1 quantity square. Equal to, if you're going to add all these terms here, yan, this is just equal to 112. Okay, so malapit na tayo. Take note, in our standard equation, the right-hand side should be equal to 1. So we need to have this 112 equal to 1. So what we're going to do is to divide both sides by 112. So divide natin lahat ng terms ng 112. So ang mangyayari, this will become x plus 3 quantity square over, that is 7, right? 16 over 112 is 1 over 7. So we have 7 sa denominator plus y plus 1 quantity square, lowest term, that is 1 over 16. So you have 16 equal to 1. This one is already in standard form. And for orientation, since the denominator of y here is greater than the denominator of x, so our orientation will be vertical. So we have a vertical ellipse here. Okay? For the center naman, that is your HK. So HK here is just equal to, you have negative 3 and negative 1. Saan galing yung negative 3 at negative 1? Nandito lang. Yan. Okay? Yon. Okay. Next is for the vertices. The vertices are A units away from the center, right? So we will need to find the value of A. So here we have from the standard equation, A square is equal to 16, right? So A is equal to 4. Okay? Now, since the orientation is vertical and our center is negative 3, negative 1, which is located here, so the vertices now ay 4 units above and below the center kasi vertical ang ellipse natin. So, 4 units above and below. So, yung nag-change na value ay yung y-coordinate lang ng center. So, we will have this equation, h k plus minus a, right? So, from that, our first vertex will be hk minus a. So, we have h is negative 3, k is negative 1, minus a is 4. So we have negative 3, negative 5. So our first vertex is negative 3, negative 5, which is located here. So this is V1. Okay? For the second vertex naman, you have the formula h k plus a. So we have negative 3, negative 1 minus plus 4, and that will be negative 3 and 3, right? So the second vertex is located here. That is V2. Okay? Now, we have the co-vertices, that is B units away from the center. To solve for B, your B here is just from the standard equation, b squared is equal to 7. So b is equal to square root of 7, right? So the co-vertices are square root of 7 units to the left and to the right of the center since vertical ang ellipse. So yung x-coordinate yung nag-change. So you have h plus minus b and you have k. So for the first covertex, that will be h minus bk. So we have negative 3 minus square root of 7, negative 1. And that is negative 3 minus square root of 7 is approximately equal to negative 5.65, negative 1. Okay, so W1 is somewhere here. Okay? Dito. So that is W1. For W2 naman, we have H plus BK, right? So you have negative 3 plus square root of 7, negative 1. So this will be negative 3 plus square root of 7 is approximately equal to negative 0.35, negative 1. So our second covertex W2 is negative square root of 35, negative 1. That is somewhere here. Okay, this one. So this is W2. Okay, for the last one, for our foci, that is C units away from the center, and the formula in finding C is C equal to A square minus B square, right? So we have square root of A square is 16 minus B square is 7, and that is square root of 9, which is 3. Okay? So our foci is 3 units above or below the center. So we have this formula, h k plus minus c. So our first focus will be h k minus c. So we have negative 3, negative 1 minus 3. So you have negative 3, negative 4. And that is located here. This is your focus 1. Your focus 2 will be HK plus C, right? So you have H is negative 3, K is negative 1 plus 3. So that is negative 3 and 2. So focus 2 is negative 3 and 2. So that is your F sub 2. So our ellipse will look like this one. Okay, so there. So we are done answering the three problems. So I hope meron tayong natutunan ngayon. Thank you for watching.